So I just got sent this in the mail today. Yay! Now, as a driving instructor, as well as a crash trauma survivor, I'm a huge advocate of dash cams in cars and on motorcycles. If you're going to be in an accident, you're going to want some kind of proof of exactly what happened and who was at fault. Now, I've been using these little bad boys in my driving school cars for the last coming up 5 years or so. This is the Navman MiVue 800. Been a great little camera. It's front and rear recording, so it picks up everything that's happening in front of you, as well as what's happening behind the car. But of course, the technology's a few years old now, and this is only a 1080p camera. And I think at the time, this was around about $270, $280. Call it change from 300. But it didn't come with a memory card. You had to go and buy the card separately. These have been great little cameras, but Navman have just generously sent me the latest and greatest. This is the 4K dual camera version. It's their absolute top of their line. This is going to be an invaluable tool in my driving school, particularly for assisting my students when I'm helping them to learn to drive. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump in and have a look. This bad boy's worth about $550 or thereabouts. So at double the price of the MiVue 800, which is also a front and rear facing camera, the big question is the 4K Pro worth twice the money? Is the quality that much better? Well, let's have a look. Probably shouldn't be cutting it toward my heart, should I? Ugh. Don't try this at home, kids. Not going to be needing that. One MiVue Pro 4K DC, complete with 64 gig memory card. Nice. So when Navman reached out to me last week and said, hey, would you like us to send you the latest and greatest 4K dash cam that's worth about $550? Would you like one? I'm like, hell yeah! Sure, why not? Let's open it up. Cut away from the heart. What do we got in the box? Sticker. Dash cam in operation. Stick that on the front windscreen or back windscreen, wherever you want to put it. Your usual warranty card, quick start guide manual. You've got your SD card information. Not even sure what that is. And 164 gigabyte SD card, which, you know, is great that now comes with the camera, because if you had to go out and buy one of these previously, these can get quite expensive. So it's included in the box. That's a nice thing. Although the MiVue Pro 4K does come with a 64 gig card, it can take up to a 256 gig card. So you're going to get a lot of footage on the camera. And don't forget, the camera is looping. In other words, as your card gets full, the Navman starts recording over the old footage. So it doesn't just get full and stop recording. You never have to worry about that. And of course, there's the MiVue Manager app, where you can literally download footage from your camera and save it to your hard drive or whatever. So even someone like myself, who's on the road all day, every day, teaching people how to drive, storage is not a problem. It hasn't been yet. And of course, this connects over Wi-Fi, so you can download footage from the camera to your phone or iPad via the app. There's so many things that this camera does, I haven't even began to scratch the surface yet. You can literally get monthly updates sent to the camera that include school zones, as well as alerts on fixed cameras, red light cameras. Not that you need alerts for those things, of course, because you're driving safely, right? Apparently, you can even turn on features like lane departure warnings. So, like literally, if you're departing your lane, this thing will let you know. Awesome technology, which will be great when I'm training students. Unfortunately, they're going to have to turn those things off when they're sitting their driving test, because the assessor obviously wants to see the student drive without those sorts of aided devices. But once you got your license, or if you're doing driving lessons, what brilliant technology. Yeah. And of course, nowadays, memory cards aren't quite as expensive as they once were. You can literally buy a 256 gig memory card for $100, or possibly even cheaper. And I've also noticed that this camera uses the H.265 technology, which I'm not going to get into or pretend I know a lot about, but based on previous versions like H.264 MPEG technology, the compression ratio is that much greater. you could literally fit almost twice as much information on the same size card because of how it compresses, also without losing video image quality. So in other words, you're going to get a lot of footage compared to previous cards and technology that you would have once got. Now remember, the MiVue 800 front camera is only a 1080p camera. The rear camera of this is only 720p. The new one I've just been sent is a full 4K camera. The rear camera on this is a 2K camera. That means that even the rear camera's quality is going to be better than what my previous front camera's quality was. And this is actually really good. This is a great camera, and I've really had no major issues with the quality of this. But if the rear camera on this is better quality than the front camera on this, and the front camera is double the quality of this, I'm excited. Wiring harness. The good thing about this is it looks like it's the same wiring as my previous model, which is great because I've already got the wiring running through the pillars and columns inside my car, so I don't need to rerun them because the cable's exactly the same. So that's a big plus, that they didn't change that like they do with phones and that. You've got to go out and buy all the new accessories every time you upgrade a phone. Now this looks like the rear camera. Beautiful. That's the rear camera. I don't have my rear camera from the MiVue 800 here with me, but at the end of the day, it looks similar to this. It's just a little rear camera that sits on your back windscreen. That's obviously in the box. This is the main cable that runs between the front and rear camera. Obviously, the rear camera needs to be connected to the front camera, and that's done via this cable here. That's included in the box, obviously. So it's really cool if you're upgrading from a previous model. You don't have to go and reroute all your cabling, particularly if you've got a front and rear camera, where you've got a long cable running up through the back of your car to drive your rear camera. So that's a nice touch. I've also noticed that the cable in this box is 8 meters. The one I got back in the day with the 800 was only 5 meters. Which isn't a problem to me in my little driving school car. 5 meters was plenty, but I could see that there could be occasions in larger four-wheel drives and bigger cars where having 8 meters of cable might be a benefit. But the big plus to me is I don't need to rerun the cable. I'm going to need it. And then last, but far from least, is the front-facing camera, which will look like this, or similar. So again, okay, so here's the front-facing camera. Ta-da! This is very interesting. You can actually position the camera on this as well, which might be a nice feature. Hard to say yet till I jump out and get it in the car and have a drive around with it. So normally with this camera, you can adjust it on its own swivel bracket. But then obviously, if you move the camera down, you also move the LCD screen, which may make it hard to look at the screen depending on where the camera is positioned. So this is probably not a bad idea, having the camera tiltable so you can still have the screen at the exact same location, yet tilt the camera. Here's the bracket for the camera itself. Of course, the rear-facing camera has its own little sticky tab bracket, and you can see that the camera moves and you can tilt it up and down on the bracket, so that's quite handy. Not a lot of weight in it, so it's hopefully not going to fall off or anything like that. And I've really had very little problem with my rear camera falling off the windscreen on the 800. On really hot days in the summer when it reaches 30 to 40 degrees, the front camera can fall down sometimes because it's on a glass suction mount, and sometimes that suction mount just gets very, very hot. And of course the weight of the camera just causes it to fall. Hasn't been a huge problem. Obviously, I've never broken any of my cameras in any of my driving school cars. But if I had to be critical, a new suction cup mounting system for the dash cams may have been a good option. And this is the new mounting system, which obviously isn't a suction cup. Whoa, and it feels like that's got a fair bit of stick in it. Obviously, we put the mounting bracket onto the Navman, like so. Obviously, you can take it off and on as you need to. So even if this was stuck to your windscreen, you could slide your Navman off, bring it back on, which is a nice feature if you want to take your Navman dashcam out of your car from time to time. Protective little layer over the LCD screen. I'll rip that off. That's now off. Screen size, identical. 2.7 inch, 2.7 inch. Which has really been fine. I don't think a bigger screen is necessary because for the most part, you are never watching the dash cam. You're literally watching the road and the dash cam's quietly recording away in the background should anything ever happen. Having said that, as a driving instructor, I have the dash cam right in front of me on my side of the windscreen, and you can actually have it in head-up display mode, so I can actually be sitting there watching the speed that my student's doing. And I could see that in a lot of cars, that would be a very handy feature, particularly if you're the passenger and you're training somebody to drive. My car, it's not a huge thing because my Speedo has a digital display, which I can clearly see even sitting in the passenger seat. But you can set this up to get a constant GPS speed of your car, which is also quite a handy feature. But I guess the true test is putting it in the car side by side with this one, going for a drive and comparing the video quality. So I'm just heading into town to try out the new Navman, but before I do, I've just got to take care of something even a little bit more important.
Hi, what can I get for you?
Hi, can I get a tall flat white, thanks?
Of course, anything else?
No, that's it, thank you.
Wonderful drive through.
Ta.
There you go. Have
Good.
a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
See ya. Okay, now we can get on with the day. Okay, so I've just pulled over to this lovely little spot here. Great place to have a coffee. And a great place to try out the new Navman. Okay, so let's wire this one up. And I'm going to run it side by side with my existing MiVue 800 so we can get a bit of a comparison between the two. This is where I've got my MiVue 800 currently located. And you can see the little back camera hanging off the back window there. So let's take this one out of the box again. So let's hook this one up and get it all set up. There's two sockets on the side here. One's for power, the other one's for the rear camera. They look both the same, so I guess it's important you don't mix them up. It is difficult to read if you've got bad eyesight, like me. So holding it out more into the sun, I can see that the power is the one furthest away. Okay, and the little green lights just come on.
Drive safely.
Drive safely. Well, thank you. Yes, I will, Navman. I am a driving instructor. That's kind of what I do. Okay, I'm going to go through and quickly set it up. Obviously, English. Looks pretty straightforward. I just hit the up or down arrow to choose the language, then hit the tick. It's syncing the GPS. Now it asks me what time zone I am in. I am GMT +8 because I'm in Western Australia. Okay. Do I want metric or imperial measurements? As in, do I want miles per hour or kilometers per hour? Obviously here in Australia, we use metric, kilometers per hour. Obviously I need to insert the SD card. Well, this is embarrassing. A moment ago I said, I'm gonna stick the SD card in here, and I'm like, oh, damn, where's the SD card? Obviously I left it at home. So, quick mercy dash down to Officeworks here in town. Got myself another SD card, and we'll continue with the video.
Drive safely.
Yep, insert SD card. Take 2. All right. Of course, it comes with a big adapter as well, which obviously I don't need. Putting SD card in. You hear the nice little click. Error, accessing SD card, please format SD card. So I guess I go to the menu and scroll down until I find the option. SD card. Okay. Scroll down to format. Formatting the SD card will erase the data. Yes, we know that. Okay. So I may just go through the quick settings. Satellites, make sure everything's all set up. GPS, it gives me the readout of the satellite signals, which look very good. I can set the time up manually, or I can allow it to use the GPS time. I just allow it to use the GPS time, which is the GMT +8 for my time zone. You can set up all the sounds, your welcome sound, your system sound. I'm not going to worry about that right now. You got voice command. I'm not going to cover that in this video. I didn't bring my iPad. I'm not going to use the MiVue Manager app today, but I can do videos on that. If you want to see those videos, then subscribe to this channel and hit the bell notification, because I'll be doing videos walking through the actual usage of the camera and the features like voice command, using the MiVue Manager app, all those sorts of things. But to cover it in this video would just make this video huge. So subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, and when I produce that video, you'll get that as well. Today we're just doing a comparison and seeing how the video looks. Voice command, voice guidance, volume, LCD standby. I do like to set up the LCD standby because I can either have the LCD always on, or I can have the HUD, which is the head-up display. You can have it turn off after 10 seconds, 1 minute, whatever. I like to have the LCD display showing me the head-up. Today I'm going to leave it as always on so I can watch the camera as I'm driving shortly. So I think we're pretty good. It's actually recording, which is great. Haven't plugged the back camera in yet. We can do that now. This is the cable for...
Switch on your lights.
It's telling me to switch on my lights because I've literally just put this camera face down onto my seat here, and it's saying, hey, turn on the lights. That's funny. It's obviously in total darkness. Now this is the cable for the back camera, which of course I'm going to connect and just run it over the back of the car for now, because I've already got a cable running through my existing 800. So I will use that one when I set this one up permanently. So obviously put one end in here, and then one end into the rear camera. Now that I've plugged in the rear camera, that should pick that up.
Safety camera ahead. Please take care.
And there's my little rear camera as well, showing there. So if you want on your dash cam footage, your speed, your coordinates, a text stamp if you want to put the name of your car or whatever, you can set all that up. I like to obviously have the speed and the coordinates at the very least. You can change the video clip length, all those sorts of things. Okay, so we're recording. So I'm going to mount this now. We'll go for a little drive and we can compare the video quality of the two. I've just moved my other camera over this side so that I can give this one a permanent home over here. Now, the cameras are connected, so let's go for a drive and see how they look. Be interesting to see the difference in number plate recognition. I find that with the 800, recognising number plates, and particularly drivers in cars, the amount of times I'm driving through intersections and roundabouts and I see drivers using their mobile phone while they're driving. But even though I can see that they're using their phone while they're driving, I can't actually always make out the details because the camera is a little bit blurry from a distance or whatever. So it'd be interesting to see the image quality, particularly with recognizing faces and detail, high quality detail. So I'm really loving the Navman MiVue Pro 4K. It's a great camera. The image and video quality is great. After reviewing the video last night, I can see that the quality is a lot better. As you'd expect, it's 4K versus 1080p. The big advantage to that, of course, is the amount of detail. You get a lot more detail in 4K than you're going to get in 1080, obviously, which could be critical. If you're involved in an accident where you've lost some detail and possibly you've got unrecognizable registration plates, well then that footage is useless to you. The rear camera on this setup is a lot better than the rear camera on the 800, obviously. 720p versus 1440. Again, you're going to get a lot more detail in the rear camera on this system. So all over, this is a much better camera. Feature for feature, this camera far outweighs the features on this camera. This is a great camera and it served me well for the last 5 years. I've had a couple of these, but feature for feature, voice activation, the H.265 video compression, the road warnings and updates, the lane departure warning, letting you know if you're coming to red light cameras, fixed speed cameras, all those sorts of things. The features on this far outweigh the features on this. But ironically, where I think this one outshines this one for half the cost, and I think Navman's really dropped the ball on this, is this right here. And it's actually the mounting system. See how the 800 just sits on this little swivel bracket? I can literally put the 800 anywhere I want it. I can swivel the screen up, down, sideways, and I can look at the LCD anywhere I want. So the big advantage of that is I can literally sit back in my chair, I can sit forward in my chair, I can put the screen anywhere, and when I'm sitting here with a student beside me, I can easily see how fast they're going by looking at the GPS. The mounting system on this is taking a step backwards. That camera is now fixed. There's nothing I can do. And I can't even see the screen on that because of the angle that it's on the windscreen. Sure, I can tilt the camera up and down, but literally, unless I'm going to sit like this, I can't see the screen on the thing. It's really weird. I would have much preferred if this camera had a little swivel bracket mount like this. And in actual fact, I'm probably going to have to buy something, maybe from a third party, or make something, because to me, the screen on that angle is unusable. It's literally pointing down at my feet. Now at first, I thought maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I've got it upside down, but it's not. It's up the right way. I even checked the bracket, and the bracket is definitely in the right location. It's just a weird setup. So I think Navman's really dropped the ball on this, and they should have stayed with this, which gives you the ability to move the thing wherever you want. And unless I'm going to actually stick the thing to my rear view mirror, I don't know any other way around it. Like literally, if I had this sticking on my rear view mirror, well, of course that could work, but then I've lost a quarter of my rear view mirror. That's a driving hazard. So I'm going to have to make up some kind of bracket for this because this is not working at the moment. But other than that, this is a much better camera. I'm just disappointed with the bracket system. How much better is that? So easy. Okay, so let's address the obvious thing here. On the surface, these videos are going to look pretty much the same. One's recorded in 4K, one's recorded at 1080p. But at the end of the day, this video that you're watching now, the whole video is at maximum 1080p. And I've condensed both of the videos right down to, the size of a postage stamp. Of course they're going to look the same. Watching this video, you're not going to get the true 4K experience because this video is not recorded in 4K. The video you're looking at is a 4K video condensed down to a 1080p full video, but half the size of that. So literally it's like 540 or something. So you're not going to get the true experience on this video. But looking at the video side by side on my computer, I can see a massive difference. The easiest way to see that is when you blow the video up. Like I've done a couple of side by side screenshots where I've literally blown the video out to 4 times its size. And you can see that on the MiVue 800, you lose the detail. It becomes pixelated. If you take a 1080p video and blow it up, it's going to get pixelated and you're going to lose the detail. And that's exactly what's happening in this comparison. You take the 4K video, blow it up, because you've got so many more pixels to work with, you're going to get a much bigger, clearer, sharper image before you start losing detail. So the advantage of that is you're going to capture a lot more detail in 4K than what you are in 1080p, obviously, which is kind of a safety net because the last thing you want is to be involved in an accident where you need some critical information, driver's license, registration, make, model of a car, facial recognition details from somebody who may have damaged your car while it was parked, whatever. You want as much detail as you can get. So both the forward and the rear camera side by side, the MiVue 4K Pro DC dual camera is a much, much sharper image. And you can also see, even looking at colors, on the surface, sometimes the 800 may look a little bit more vibrant than the 4K camera. And that often happens with cameras, with projectors, those sorts of things, where less expensive lenses tend to compensate, where you may take a red and make it more vibrant and more red, where it kind of makes its own detail, but it's not as lifelike or as accurate. I ran into this same issue when I was looking to buy a projector many years ago. I looked side by side at a cheap projector versus a very expensive one. Sometimes the cheap one looked more lively and vibrant. Yeah, but you wouldn't want to watch it for any long length of time because the colours aren't real, they're not natural, they're kind of made up. Whereas the more expensive lens, camera, projector is giving you a more lifelike image. The colours are more natural. So on the surface it may look a little less vibrant, a little more washed out, but the quality is in the detail. At the end of the day, my initial question was, is the MiVue 4K Pro DC at double the cost of what something like the MiVue 800 dual camera system, is it worth twice the money? Somebody like myself, who's on the road all day every day as a driving instructor, absolutely unequivocally yes. Feature for feature, this camera runs circles around the 800. Image quality, this camera runs circles around the 800. From a peace of mind standpoint, if your budget can stretch the extra couple of $100, go for the more expensive camera. Because if you are involved in an accident, you want as much detail as you can get. You don't want to have to be blowing up an image trying to work out what the registration plate was and then be like, oh, didn't quite get it. We were on the wrong angle and we didn't quite make it out what the number plate was. A higher quality camera, you're less likely to have that problem. You're going to have more detail. You're going to be able to work out what the number plate is. So then the next question is, do you need all these extra features? Lane departure warning, school zone warnings, red light cameras, speed cameras, fixed location speed cameras, Wi-Fi connectivity. Someone like myself, a driving instructor, this is going to be amazing. I'll literally be able to sit there with my iPad, connect to my dash cam, and go back over the roads we've just gone through with my student and say, oh, remember when we turned left at this intersection and we saw that car and this happened, that happened? We can literally go through and connect and talk about it as we go. From a training perspective, this thing's going to be amazing. And I'm going to do some more videos about that in the upcoming days and weeks. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see those. So that's my quick review of the Navman MiVue Pro 4K DC camera. Again, I appreciate Navman sending me the camera. They didn't ask me to do a review of it, So the positive of that is I'm giving my totally 100% unbiased review of it. I'm not affiliated with Navman. I'm not getting paid to sell Navman products. If you want to go and buy a Navman camera, I'm not compensated in any way for it. Yes, they did send me the camera, but I'm giving my honest, unbiased feedback, the positives and negatives. Right now, all I can say is it's a great camera. The image quality is amazing. The features are great. My only gripe with it is literally the mounting bracket system, which I think Navman have probably dropped the ball on because they have had better mounting systems on previous models. Maybe the next time they may bring that mounting system back on the next models. Is it a deal breaker? Not at all. I would still have this camera over the 800 in a heartbeat for image quality, for features, and for peace of mind, knowing I've got better quality video recording while I'm driving. Is it worth the extra money? Yes, if you see the benefit in having those additional features and the higher video image quality. And at the end of the day, if you've got a dash cam, why do you have a dash cam? Because you want to capture what's going on around you. In the off chance that you get involved in an accident, you want to have some transparency, some video proof of what actually went on, what happened. So you want the best image and video quality that money can buy. So if you can spring the extra couple of $100, absolutely unequivocally, this is the camera to go for. I hope this has been helpful. Thanks again to Navman for sending me the awesome camera.